You didn't find this video by chance. Today you're going to discover exactly what Helena Blavatsky found in the ancient book of DZYAN about what happens to your soul the moment you take your last breath. For over a century, this knowledge has been hidden in the deepest chambers of Tibet, protected by monks who understood its power to completely transform how we see death itself. Every night, millions of people lie awake, wondering what waits for them after death. They fear the unknown, worry about loved ones who have passed, and desperately search for answers that traditional religion doesn't provide. You've probably felt this same deep uncertainty, this urgent need to understand what really happens when our physical body stops breathing but our consciousness continues its eternal journey. What I'm about to share with you comes from the world's most ancient manuscript, written before human civilization even began. Helena Blavatsky risked her life to bring these secrets to the Western world, and the Tibetan authorities tried to silence her forever when they discovered what she had revealed. They banned her from Tibet, attempted to assassinate her, and did everything possible to keep this knowledge buried because they knew it would change everything people believed about death and the afterlife. In the next few minutes, you'll learn 8 profound revelations about your soul's journey after death that will completely transform your fear into understanding, your uncertainty into peace. These aren't religious beliefs or philosophical theories. These are ancient truths recorded by beings who observed countless souls transitioning between worlds, documented in the original book of DZYAN before humanity even existed on Earth. Blavatsky called it the secret doctrine because she understood that most people weren't ready for this knowledge. But you're different. You're here because your soul is calling you to understand your own eternal nature, to prepare for the most important journey you'll ever take. The Tibetan masters knew that whoever possessed this knowledge would never fear death again, because they would understand that death is simply the beginning of an incredible adventure your soul has been preparing for since the moment you were born. The first revelation alone will show you why everything you've been taught about death is completely wrong, and why your soul actually celebrates the moment your physical body can no longer contain its infinite power. The first ancient truth from the book of DZYAN reveals that your soul doesn't leave your body at death. Your body finally releases your soul. For thousands of years, we've had it completely backward. We think of death as the soul departing, but the ancient text describes it as a liberation, like a butterfly finally breaking free from a cocoon that has become too small. Your physical body is actually a temporary container, designed to hold only a tiny fraction of your soul's true power. Think of it like trying to contain the ocean in a small glass jar. Your soul has been compressed, limited and constrained by the physical world since the moment you took your first breath. Every emotion you felt, every dream that seemed too big, every moment when you sensed there was something more to existence, that was your soul pressing against the boundaries of your physical form. The book of DZYAN describes this moment of release in beautiful detail. Ancient beings who observed countless transitions recorded that the soul expands instantly to its true size the moment the physical constraints disappear. Imagine suddenly being able to stretch after being cramped in a tiny space for decades. That feeling of relief and expansion is exactly what your soul experiences in those first moments after your heart stops beating. This is why people who have near-death experiences often describe feeling more alive and aware than they ever felt in their physical body. They're getting a glimpse of their soul's natural state, unlimited, expanded, and fully conscious. Your soul isn't going anywhere when you die. It's finally coming home to itself, remembering its true nature and infinite capabilities. Helena Blavatsky wrote that understanding this single truth changed everything about how she viewed her own life and death. She realized that every day she spent in her physical body was actually preparation for this moment of liberation, like an athlete training for the most important competition of their life. Comment from which city you're watching so we can see how far this ancient knowledge is reaching. The Tibetan masters believed that when enough souls understand their true eternal nature, it creates a ripple effect that helps all of humanity prepare for this sacred transition. But what happens in the first moments after this liberation? The second revelation from the book of DZYAN describes something that will completely change how you think about your deceased loved ones. The second profound revelation explains that your soul experiences perfect clarity about your entire life within the first 7 minutes after physical death. The book of DZYAN describes this as the Great Remembering, when your soul instantly reviews every moment, every choice, and every relationship from a perspective of complete understanding and unconditional love. Unlike the fearful judgment that many religions describe, this life review happens with your soul's infinite wisdom and compassion guiding the process. You see every situation from all perspectives, yours, the other people involved, and from the viewpoint of pure love. Every mistake you made is viewed with understanding. Every kindness you showed creates waves of light. Every person you helped experience joy adds to your soul's luminous energy. People who have had near-death experiences and returned to their bodies often describe this life review as the most healing experience imaginable. They realize that their harshest critic was always themselves, and that from their soul's perspective, every experience contributed to their spiritual growth. The guilt, shame, and regret they carried in physical life dissolves instantly when they see their journey through the lens of eternal wisdom. Your deceased loved ones have already experienced this complete clarity about their relationship with you. They understand every moment of love you shared, every argument that seemed important at the time, every unspoken word you wished you could have said. They see the pure love that existed beneath every human interaction, even the difficult ones. This is why many people report feeling their deceased loved one's presence as pure love and forgiveness. Their souls have moved beyond all the petty concerns and misunderstandings of human life. They remember only the essence of your connection, the love, the joy, the spiritual bond that exists beyond physical existence. The Book of DZYAN explains that during this 7-minute window, your soul also begins to understand its purpose for the lifetime just completed and starts preparing for its next phase of existence. It's like graduating from one grade in school and immediately understanding what you learned and what comes next. But where exactly does your soul go after this period of clarity and review? The third ancient truth reveals a destination that will amaze you. The third revelation from the Book of DZYAN describes that your soul travels to what the ancients called the realm of pure learning, a dimension where you continue growing and evolving with unlimited knowledge available to you instantly. This isn't heaven as most religions describe it, but rather a cosmic university where your soul can explore any subject, master any skill, and understand any mystery that fascinated you during physical life. Think about every question you've ever wondered about, every skill you wished you had time to learn, every mystery that captured your imagination. In this realm, your soul has instant access to all knowledge. Want to understand how the pyramids were built? The information flows directly into your consciousness. Curious about advanced mathematics or quantum physics, your soul absorbs these concepts as easily as breathing. Helena Blavatsky discovered in the ancient text that this realm exists in a dimension where time functions completely differently. What feels like years of learning and exploration happens in moments by Earth time. Your soul can spend what seems like decades studying music composition with the greatest masters who ever lived, then instantly move on to explore the secrets of distant galaxies, all while only minutes pass in the physical world. The most beautiful part of this revelation is that you're not alone in this cosmic classroom. The Book of DZYAN describes how souls who shared similar interests and passions during their physical lives naturally gravitate toward each other in this realm. Your deceased relatives who loved music are making incredible compositions together. Your departed friends who enjoyed science are exploring the universe's deepest mysteries side by side. This is why people often dream of their deceased loved ones appearing happy, peaceful, and engaged in activities they enjoyed during life. These aren't just dreams. They're glimpses of your loved ones thriving in this dimension of unlimited learning and growth. They're pursuing their deepest interests with complete freedom and sharing their discoveries with souls who appreciate their passions. The ancient text explains that souls can spend as long as they need in this realm, some staying for what would be hundreds of Earth years, others moving on more quickly. Each soul knows intuitively when they've learned what they came to learn and are ready for their next adventure. And that brings us to the fourth revelation, which explains what determines how long your soul remains in this learning dimension. The fourth ancient truth reveals that your soul's time in the learning realm is determined by how much love and compassion you developed during your physical lifetime. The Book of DZYAN explains that souls who cultivated deep love, kindness, and understanding naturally progress faster through their spiritual education because these qualities act like advanced degrees in the cosmic university. This isn't about religious rules or moral judgments. It's about spiritual physics. Love and compassion are literally higher frequency energies that allow your soul to access more advanced levels of knowledge and experience. Think of it like tuning a radio to higher frequencies. The more love you develop, the clearer your soul's reception becomes for advanced spiritual teachings. People who spent their physical lives serving others, showing kindness to strangers, or developing genuine compassion for all beings, discover that their souls can absorb cosmic knowledge at incredible speeds. They understand concepts that would take other souls much longer to grasp because their hearts expanded during physical life, creating more capacity for infinite wisdom. But here's what's truly remarkable. The Book of DZYAN explains that it's never too late to develop these qualities. Even souls who live difficult lives, made serious mistakes, or seem to lack compassion during their time on Earth, can cultivate these energies in the learning realm. The difference is that it becomes more challenging to develop love and compassion after physical death, because you no longer have the intense experiences that physical life provides. Physical life is actually designed to be challenging, so your soul can exercise its compassion muscles. Every difficult person you encounter is an opportunity to choose love over judgment. Every hardship you face is a chance to develop deeper understanding. Every moment you choose kindness despite frustration is your soul building the spiritual strength it will use throughout eternity. Your deceased loved ones who struggled with anger, addiction, or other challenges during physical life are likely working on developing these qualities in the learning realm. They have all the time they need, infinite patience from their spiritual guides, and no physical limitations holding them back. Many souls who seemed lost during physical life become incredible teachers in the spiritual dimensions because they understand struggle so deeply. If you're dealing with grief over someone who died with unresolved issues, the Book of DZYAN offers profound comfort. Their soul is likely growing in ways that would amaze you, developing the love and wisdom they couldn't access while trapped in physical limitations. But what happens to souls who develop exceptional levels of love and compassion? The fifth revelation describes an incredible opportunity that awaits them. The fifth profound truth from the Book of DZYAN reveals that souls who master unconditional love and compassion are offered the choice to become spiritual guides for souls still in physical bodies. These evolved souls can choose to dedicate themselves to helping others navigate their Earth experience, essentially becoming guardian angels, spirit guides, and divine messengers. This explains why you sometimes feel guided, protected, or receive intuitive insights that seem to come from beyond your own knowledge. The Book of DZYAN describes a vast network of loving souls who have chosen to serve rather than move on to even higher dimensions. They whisper guidance to your intuition, send signs and synchronicities to get your attention, and surround you with love during your most difficult moments. Your deceased loved ones who developed deep compassion during their physical lives may have chosen this beautiful path of service. Instead of immediately progressing to higher realms, they dedicate themselves to watching over family members, friends, and sometimes complete strangers who need spiritual support. They become part of your personal spiritual support team, working behind the scenes to help you fulfill your soul's purpose. Helena Blavatsky wrote that she constantly felt the presence of these guiding souls during her most dangerous moments, including the assassination attempts and persecution she faced for revealing these secrets. She described feeling invisible hands protecting her, urgent warnings that kept her safe, and waves of love that sustained her through the darkest periods of her life. Think about the moments in your own life when you felt mysteriously protected, when you had a sudden intuitive insight that changed everything, or when you felt comforted by a presence you couldn't see. The Book of DZYAN suggests these experiences are evidence of your spiritual guides, possibly including souls who once lived as human beings and now serve as bridge builders between dimensions. These guiding souls can communicate through dreams, sudden insights, meaningful coincidences, and that inner voice that sometimes knows exactly what you need to hear. They understand human struggle because they experienced it themselves, making them incredibly effective at offering the right guidance at the right moment. The ancient text explains that some souls find this service so fulfilling that they choose to guide others for thousands of Earth years before moving on to their next phase of existence. They discover that helping others grow spiritually accelerates their own evolution in ways that pure learning cannot provide. But not all souls choose the path of guidance. The sixth revelation explains an even more extraordinary option available to certain advanced souls. The sixth ancient truth reveals that souls who achieve exceptional spiritual development can choose to return to physical life voluntarily, not because they need to learn more, but because they want to serve humanity during critical periods of Earth's evolution. The Book of DZYAN calls these beings voluntary incarnates, souls who sacrifice the bliss of higher dimensions to help humanity during times of great change. These aren't ordinary reincarnations driven by unfinished karma or lessons to learn. These are highly evolved souls who consciously choose to limit themselves by taking physical form because they see that humanity needs their wisdom, compassion, and spiritual strength during pivotal moments in history. They come as teachers, healers, inventors, artists, and leaders who inspire others to remember their own divine nature. Helena Blavatsky believed that she herself was one of these voluntary incarnates, sent to bring ancient wisdom to the modern world precisely when humanity was beginning to lose touch with spiritual truth. She described receiving guidance from a group of highly evolved souls called the Ascended Masters, who coordinated efforts to keep spiritual knowledge alive on Earth. The Book of DZYAN explains that these volunteer souls often face incredibly difficult lives because they're working against the spiritual confusion and materialism that dominates physical existence. They frequently feel out of place in the world, struggle with depression or anxiety, and sense that they have an important mission but can't quite remember what it is. If you've always felt different from others, like you don't quite belong in this world, or like you have some important purpose you can't identify, you might be one of these voluntary incarnates. These souls often show signs from early childhood: unusual wisdom, deep compassion for suffering, attraction to spiritual topics, and an inner knowing that there's much more to existence than what most people believe. The ancient text describes how these souls gradually remember their true nature as they mature, often through spiritual experiences, encounters with wise teachers, or moments of sudden awakening. They begin to understand that their sense of not fitting in comes from carrying the frequency of higher dimensions, while living in a physical body designed for much denser energies. These volunteer souls don't return to Earth alone. The Book of DZYAN explains that they work as part of coordinated teams, supporting each other across lifetimes, and helping each other remember their missions when they meet in physical form. They often feel instant recognition when they encounter other team members, even if they've never met in their current lifetime. But what about souls who aren't ready for such advanced service? The seventh revelation addresses the journey of souls who need more time to develop before making these profound choices. The seventh revelation from the Book of DZYAN explains that souls who haven't yet developed sufficient love and wisdom enter what the ancients called the healing dimensions, where they receive unlimited love, patience, and guidance to help them overcome the wounds and limitations they carried from physical life. This isn't punishment, it's the most compassionate rehabilitation system imaginable. Think of these dimensions as cosmic healing centers, where your soul receives exactly what it needs to grow. Souls who struggled with anger during physical life are surrounded by beings who radiate perfect peace until they learn to embody that same serenity. Souls who lived in fear are enveloped in such profound safety and love that their terror gradually dissolves. Souls who felt unloved during their Earth experience are shown their true worth until they finally understand their inherent value. The Book of DZYAN describes these healing dimensions as places of incredible beauty, where souls can work through their deepest traumas with the support of the most advanced spiritual teachers. There's no judgment, no shame, no pressure to heal faster than feels comfortable. Each soul progresses at exactly the right pace for their individual needs. Your loved ones who passed away carrying emotional wounds, addictions, or psychological pain are likely experiencing this profound healing right now. The depression that tormented them during physical life is being gently healed by beings who understand suffering intimately. The addiction that controlled their earthly behavior is being addressed by souls who specialize in helping others overcome compulsive patterns. What's remarkable is that souls in these healing dimensions often become some of the most compassionate guides once they complete their own recovery. They understand struggle so deeply that they can help others facing similar challenges with extraordinary empathy and wisdom. The soul who overcame addiction becomes an expert at guiding others toward freedom. The soul who healed from depression becomes a beacon of hope for others lost in darkness. Helena Blavatsky learned from the Book of DZYAN that these healing dimensions exist within the same space as the learning realms, separated not by distance, but by vibrational frequency. Souls naturally gravitate toward the dimension that matches their current level of development, and they can move between dimensions as they grow and heal. The most beautiful aspect of this revelation is that no soul is ever abandoned or forgotten. The ancient text describes an infinite network of support, where more advanced souls constantly reach back to help those who are struggling. Every soul eventually heals, grows, and evolves, no matter how long the process takes. But what happens to souls who resist this healing process or refuse to accept love and guidance? The eighth and final revelation addresses even these challenging situations with profound wisdom. The eighth and final revelation from the Book of DZYAN addresses souls who resist love, reject guidance, and choose to remain trapped in negative patterns even after physical death. The ancient text reveals that even these souls receive infinite opportunities for healing, but they're allowed to maintain their free will to refuse help for as long as they choose. The book describes what the ancients called self-created prisons, dimensions that souls create around themselves when they refuse to accept love and healing. These aren't punishments imposed by some external judge, but rather the natural consequence of a soul choosing to remain locked in patterns of hatred, selfishness, or despair. They literally create their own experience of separation and suffering. But here's what makes this revelation so profound. Even in these self-created prisons, doors of love remain constantly open. The Book of DZYAN explains that advanced souls volunteer to enter these dimensions regularly, offering help, love, and guidance to souls who have forgotten their divine nature. No soul is ever abandoned, no matter how lost they become or how long they choose to remain in darkness. Helena Blavatsky discovered that these volunteer souls who enter the darker dimensions are among the most courageous and loving beings in all creation. They risk getting trapped in negative energy themselves in order to reach souls who seem unreachable. They become living examples of unconditional love, showing through their presence that escape is always possible. Even souls who committed terrible acts during physical life, those who murdered, abused others, or caused great suffering, are never written off as hopeless. The Book of DZYAN reveals that many of these souls eventually experience such profound remorse and desire for redemption that they become powerful forces for healing and protection. Their deep understanding of how darkness operates makes them uniquely qualified to help others avoid similar paths. What's remarkable is that time works differently in these dimensions of healing. A soul might spend what feels like thousands of years working through their resistance to love, but the moment they open their heart even slightly, they can experience instantaneous transformation. The book describes souls moving from the deepest despair to brilliant light in what seems like a single moment of genuine surrender. This revelation offers profound hope for anyone who has lost a loved one who seemed lost to addiction, mental illness, or destructive behavior. Their soul continues to receive infinite opportunities for healing and growth. They're surrounded by the most compassionate beings imaginable who understand their struggle and know exactly how to reach them when they're finally ready to accept help. Even now, as you listen to these words, souls who once seemed lost are discovering their true nature and beginning their journey toward healing and love. You now possess 8 profound truths about your soul's journey after death that most people will never discover. This knowledge isn't just information. It's a complete transformation of how you understand your eternal nature and your relationship with death itself. You no longer need to fear the unknown because you understand that death is simply your soul's graduation to unlimited learning, healing, and growth. Helena Blavatsky risked everything to bring these truths from the hidden chambers of Tibet to the Western world. She faced assassination attempts, persecution, and exile because she understood that this knowledge would free humanity from the fear of death that has controlled us for centuries. You're now part of a select group of souls who understand what really happens when your physical body can no longer contain your infinite spirit. Your deceased loved ones aren't gone. They're thriving in dimensions of pure love, unlimited learning, and incredible service opportunities. They're either studying subjects that fascinate them, healing from the wounds of physical life, guiding souls still on earth, or preparing to return as volunteer teachers during humanity's time of great awakening. Every single soul continues to grow, learn, and evolve throughout eternity. Most importantly, this knowledge transforms how you live right now. Every act of kindness you perform, every moment of compassion you develop, every choice to love instead of judge, is preparing your soul for the incredible journey that awaits. You're not just living a single lifetime, you're participating in an eternal adventure of consciousness, exploring itself through countless forms and experiences. You're part of something magnificent, connected to every soul who has ever lived and will ever live. The love you develop now will serve you throughout eternity. The wisdom you gain will help you guide others. The healing you experience will qualify you to help souls who struggle with similar challenges. Share this knowledge with others who are ready to understand their eternal nature. Comment below with your thoughts about which revelation impacted you most deeply. Like this video to help these ancient truths reach souls who desperately need to understand their immortal nature. Subscribe for more hidden wisdom that mainstream sources will never reveal. You are not just a temporary physical being having a brief earth experience. You are an eternal soul having a human adventure, and your greatest journey begins the moment your heart stops beating. Death isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your soul's unlimited expression of love, wisdom, and service throughout infinite dimensions of existence. The Book of DZYAN's greatest secret is this: you are already immortal, already infinite, already perfect. Your soul is just temporarily pretending to be limited so you can experience the joy of remembering your true divine nature. Death is simply the moment you stop pretending and reclaim your birthright as an eternal being of love and light.